if I were to say Cyrene is hella Doomposted, a lot of people are gonna disagree. So I will also make like a just yapping video going through like the not really like the actual kit itself, but more so how people came into like where it is at this point. Because I'm guessing what happened, right? Hear me out, chat. Hear me out. I'm guessing what happened with Cyrene is that people saw the gap between E0 and E2, and because E2 allowed you to E2 basically, the E2, yeah, so like it made you get your shit a lot faster, right? So there was this conception that this E2's access to her kit, because you need to cast her out to get to her kit, right? So it allowed you to get to her kit a lot faster. Roughly, like I would say 75 to 80 action value faster, which is usually like 2 actions for each of our units. So usually the entire 1 cycle is the gap between an E0 and an E2. So what I'm guessing happened was that people saw this E2 and they look at the E0. I'm like, okay, this E0 takes way too long, and like every single one of our other supports that you play nowadays, right? Like you play Rame, you play Trippy, you play Robin, you play every single support that you play nowadays, they always get their ultimate and their entire kit online, and their very, very first action. Almost every single time is either the first action, or after you get a little bit of hit from the enemy, you get it on their second action. Every single support without fail. So this unit, right, Cyrene, she is like the first unit in the game where you are not able to get your ultimate immediately on their first action. So it's usually with the right build, okay, ideally, you want it to at 200 speed, right? You want ideally at 200 speed so that you can get your third action in wave 1, and you cast enough of your skills to get the ultimate, but it's like all the way at the very, very start, which is where all the memes come from, right? Is that by the time you finish, by the time Cyrene charges her ultimate, she's never shit. Iron Tomb has actualized, if you laugh, then it's like that's where all the meme came from, where she basically just takes way too long to get ultimate. But the thing is, these memes, they are right in a sense, but it's true, right? She does take very, very long to get the ultimate from E0 compared to E2. But the thing is, once you actually get this ultimate, right, your damage from everything else afterwards is like so much faster for every single Cryos that I've tested with. Without fail, every single unit that I've tested, every single Cryos hair, it is a definitive upgrade, right? If you slot in Cyrene over either Sunday or Trippy, she was a definitive upgrade. You clear easily at least 1 cycle, if not 3 cycles faster for some cases. The only exception where she didn't give an upgrade was Hyacinth. Why? Because Kafka is the greatest of all time, right? Kafka with Hyacinth was the only unit, like this entire DOT archetype, where Cyrene didn't really change too much. So like you couldn't really feel a difference of whether you run Cyrene with Hyacinth or Kafka with Hyacinth. I tried running Cyrene, Kafka, Hyacinth on the same team with the Hyacinth, but what happened was if I did that, you don't get your charge fast enough, and lacking that tribute which gives you AoE can't drive DOT faster. So essentially, it was like clear in the exact same cycle for all 3. In fact, the one with Kafka plus Cyrene was actually a little bit slower because it was pretty much impossible to get Cyrene's ultimate in wave 1. It is legitimately impossible. Every other team, as long as you gave Cyrene 200 speed, you get the ultimate in wave 1, and then from wave 1 onwards, you'll just start dealing like an obscene amount of damage. So that was what I've noticed. And the thing is, most casuals, right? Most jobbers, they wouldn't really know what's going on because for the past 2.5 years, we have never seen a unit taking 1 entire cycle to get ultimate. So the first instant reaction is, okay, her ultimate charge is way too slowly. But they don't look at everything else afterwards, which is once you get the ultimate, your damage goes up by so much, it easily helps you deal more damage throughout the course of the entire battle. So I can see where the point is, where if you're a 0 cycler elitist, right? If you're a 0 cycler, you have to get an ultimate in 0 cycle and you clear everything within 0 cycle, then I agree. You actually can't really tell the difference because your first wave, that first cycle, the damage is almost like, you can't really tell, right? Because you have no kit until you get the ultimate at the very, very end of the first wave. But the moment you start talking about like a normal clear, right? I'm talking about like a casual clear, right? A jobber clear. I'm talking about 6, 7, 8 cycle clear for like 2 teams. You're going to see that Cyrene is going to do so much for you. Because once you get into the ultimate, everything is just like, it just comes super quickly. And it's not just for like casters. It's not just for Evernight. It is for almost pretty much every single Cryos Terror team. But there is a pretty big caveat, which is she really wants Hyacinth. I cannot imagine if you ran her without Hyacinth, your charge will pretty much not gonna be there for like, I think your charge falls off by like almost 50%. Yeah, so you really want Hyacinth with Cyrene. In fact, you might as well just say Hyacinth is the anniversary unit, because Cyrene plus Hyacinth, you can make that into most Cryo's Terror teams, and they're gonna cook, right? So for My Day, for Aglaya, they're all gonna cook. They in fact cook better than the previous slot, which usually is either Sunday, Robin, or maybe even the E0 Tribute. I haven't added the E1 Tribute because I'm still working on it, but that was why I found, right? So if you do not have Hyacinth, and you're thinking, okay, should I invest in Hyacinth plus Cyrene and whatever team that you run in version 3, then it's gonna be a little bit more complicated, because you're basically investing 2 costs, right? You're investing 2 costs for your version 3 team. Okay, let's just say, for example, you're a Caster's me, right? You're a Caster. You put a E0 S1 Caster's, you got yourself a E0 S0 Tribi, and then you skipped Hyacinth, right? You skip Hyacinth, so you are using Gallagher, and then the other side was RMC. So it's like the baseline caster is absolutely nothing better. So basically, you invest a grand total of 2.5 costs, right? 1 Tribute, 1 caster, and 1 caster signature icon. At that particular point, if you have those Stellar Jades saved up at this point, is it worth to get everything, which is minimum 2 costs to get Hyacinth plus Cyrene? That's when it's more debatable, because you could theoretically save those 2 costs, or maybe even 3 costs, you want to get the Hyacinth S1 going into version 4, because version 4 is coming. But on the flip side is, if you're already someone that has Hyacinth, so all you really need is just the E0 S0 Cyrene, I think she will have a lot of value for pretty much as long as you want to play version 3 DPS. You're gonna see some value, except for Hyacinth, except for the DOT, right? So to sort of wrap up this quick little 2 cents, TLDR, my free-to-play account, right? Bob will try to get Cyrene. So that's how you know whether or not you should get it as a free-to-play. I will personally try to let Bob get Cyrene. So Bob's investment cost in the characters right now is E0 S1 Castrus, E1 S0 Tribi, E0 S1 Evernight, and E0 S0 Hyacinth. So I'm guessing what will happen is, once I get Bobo the E0 S0 Cyrene, that E1 Tribi will see play in either Team 2 or Team 3. And then whatever comes out in version 4, unless they release a support first, which I think is highly unlikely, I imagine what's going to happen in version 4, the very first patch, is going to be DPS. Almost the exact same as version 2 and version 3. So in version 3, they released Dirada and Aglaya. But Dirada and Aglaya, they also worked very well with your version 2 supports, namely Babin, right? Babin back then, as well as Sunday, they worked very well with Dirada and Aglaya. So I'm guessing what will happen is when version 4.0 comes out, whatever the DPS is going to be, I don't think Bob needs to give a shit, at least for now, until they start showing what exactly is version 4's archetype. So whatever the archetype with the version 4 MC, we yoink version 4 MC into the version 4 archetype, and then Bob's team 1 is definitively speaking going to be Castris, Evernight, Cyrene, and Hyacinth. Done. That team is going to be with us for like pretty much it. And then for team 2, whatever that is going to be, we'll see if the E1 Tribi can work with it. If E1 Tribi is going to be useless, right? Oh, I can't even say if E1 Tribi is useless, then it's gonna be a lot more of a it's a question for tomorrow. It's a question for tomorrow. So whatever that's gonna be that. So
you have cooled your last cool, my man.